What's going down, everybody? Welcome back to another Chris and Ant show. What's going down, Ant?
What's up, bro? How you doing? Welcome back.
Man,
It's
I'm
been a
doing
minute.
good. It's been way too long since
Let's
I've
get
blessed
it.
this mic with my beautiful voice.
Ooh,
But hey, nonetheless, we got a great
Caress
show
it.
for you today.
let's do it.
We got everything from Ukraine and Russia.
Yep.
All them crazy people up in Russia that are doing a bunch of just bad things. There's nothing good you can say about what's going on in Russia.
I
and
got a lot of
Ukraine.
feelings about that I don't know that I want to say, but we're gonna rock with it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're talking a little bit about Ukraine, Russia. We're
Yeah.
going to talk about the Brooklyn subway shooting,
And that is crazy.
which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
To think that someone would go. If you haven't read about the story, Google it. It's pretty wild. We're going to brief over that here on the Chris and Ant show today. But that is, people are crazy. And when you don't give them guns in New York, people can be even more crazy.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? After the Brooklyn subway shooting, we're gonna talk about Derek Carr, the
Yeah.
Las Vegas Raiders, and an extension
Getting
of
that bag.
$121.5 million.
We got the bag there
$1 million.
Las Vegas now, right?
Yeah, Las Vegas Raiders, they paid him money. Is it worth it? Was that a good acquisition? We're going to talk about that. Also, the XFL. Is it making a comeback? Are we going to see the
Yeah, who
XFL, Bob Stoops, Hines Ward, and Rob Woodson are making somewhat of investment? We're going to talk about that later. And finally, bro, what are we talking about last?
And one of our favorite topics, I think,
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
NBA, right? The
Yeah.
NBA play-in tournament is going down right now. They don't consider it the playoffs, right? So the NBA
Yeah, I
play-in is
mean,
going down.
it-
But it's pretty much NBA playoff time
Playoff
right
time,
now.
baby.
And we got a lot of good games. The East is looking great. The West is looking great.
Yeah.
It's definitely and
And
LeBron's not in the playoffs.
And
which is crazy.
let's just say that the Cavs are in there. Our Cavs are fighting for it for the first time since LeBron has not been here. So you see the Cavs jersey.
Yeah, baby, Sexton.
We're rooting for the
We miss
Cavs
you,
all the
Sexton.
way. We wish we had Jared Allen, but we're gonna talk about some things about that.
All right,
Here.
so first up, we're going to talk about, Ukraine and Russia. What's going down over in Ukraine
Ugh.
is just terrible. You're talking about tens of thousands of people have lost their lives, civilians as well as soldiers. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that have lost their lives in terms of soldiers on the Russian side as well, which
Yeah.
isn't a good thing. Even though I would say Russia is the instigator and they're the ones that are, kind of going into Ukraine, causing problems for what doesn't really seem like much of an issue, right? They went over there because Ukraine wants to join NATO. So,
Right.
Russia now gets to decide what Ukraine does, as a country, which
Right.
is a little weird. Why would you get to decide that? And you're so against them joining NATO that you're willing to go to war with them, which I thought was weird.
Yeah,
But what's kind of funny, and nothing's funny about it, but what's I guess kind of ironic about the whole situation is now Finland and Sweden, who are bordering neighbors to Russia,
Right.
are now thinking about joining NATO. And it's probably because they look at what's going down in Ukraine and they're like, well, if we're not in NATO by the time they decide to do whatever Russia and Putin's crazy butt wants to do,
Yeah.
if we're not in NATO by then we're going to have problems and NATO's not going to come and help, which is very clear kind of in the Ukraine story. We're
Right.
helping in terms of weapons and in terms of money and aid and things like that, but we're not helping in terms of, troops on the ground. So, I think it's very interesting to see what's going to happen. So if Finland and Sweden then decide to join NATO in the upcoming weeks, they said they're going to make the decision in weeks rather than months, right?
You kind of have to, right?
make it
Russia
quick.
Russia has been just really like lying the whole time,
Yeah.
saying they're not going to war,
Right.
They're also using tactics that aren't necessarily the most.
Some people say they're possibly using chemical weapons.
They're
I
they're
don't
hitting
know if they are, but-
civilian places. They're just not. I wouldn't say they're really following the rules of war that kind of the whole world has kind of established as the rules of war. And like you said, so Sweden and Finland see this, and they're like, "Yo, we're not gonna do what Ukraine did. We're gonna try to join NATO before that happens." And Russia's not gonna love that because, like you said, it's very ironic that um right when that happens, Sweden and Finland are, just like, "Yo, NATO, what's up?" Because
Right.
now Russia was trying to, like you said, eliminate a threat of NATO being on their border, but now they're where the NATO could be triple fold on their border. So
Right.
it's, I don't know, Putin.
Yeah. No, and
Uh,
that's what I think is interesting. And like you said, they kind of almost have to. I mean, you make the decision now, right? Because if you make the decision now while Russia is fighting in Ukraine and they say that, supposedly they have somewhat close to a maximum capacity of their military in
right.
Ukraine, kind of on this offensive. If you think about it that way, I mean, what is Russia going to do? They're going to come, bring half of their military back through Russia to,
Right. To
Finland
go
and
to,
Sweden and fight there, and then fight a war on both fronts
right.
while they're potentially joining NATO. I mean, it doesn't make much sense for Russia. So, um, I think that it's interesting, and I'm going to see how. I mean, I think Finland and Sweden should probably just hop on board now
Oh,
while they can.
I mean, why wouldn't you? Because,
then,
they think more like us anyway. I mean,
yeah,
you're not going to, you don't want Russia dictating what you do, first off. Putin has already proven that you can't even run against him in an election, or you might get poisoned, or all the other crazy things
Yeah.
that happens. People get arrested, their companies go under, tax fraud, they get claimed. So I mean, like, nobody wants to live in a country with that, So I mean, they obviously want to jump on NATO board, and me personally, I'm all
who's
for it.
fucking with NATO?
Come hang out with NATO.
No one's fucking with NATO.
You guys ain't really fucking with NATO, and we're down to teach the world the Western way of freedom and fair rights,
Yeah.
equality. Women have rights, people have rights, children have rights. Everybody has the same rights. I mean, the Western world is a fair place and a very freedom place, and that's why people want to be a part of NATO, because
Yeah.
of the thought process, I feel like.
And I think that's why Russia's, kind of
And they're hating it.
grasping for straws, if
Yeah,
you
they're
will, at
like
this, trying to keep their kind of government control
dictatorship.
ideology with them and China.
Yeah.
And, whoever else kind of affiliates with them and has that kind of thought process. And I think that's what they're scared of. They're scared of that Western philosophy invading into their people and showing their people that, hey, you can be free, and maybe liberating them against their government, because we all know Vladimir Putin does not want anything to do with leaving the Russian government. He's made that very clear.
He's also made it very clear that he doesn't want the hands of NATO, because that's why he keeps threatening is all his nuclear.
He don't want that smoke.
Because he don't want the smoke. He
Right.
don't want the smoke, and he knows
And
it.
if he goes nuclear, then Moscow and Russia is just going to be in rubble.
I mean,
because
you
what
have
else?
every NATO country shooting. I mean, pretty much every one of them.
Yeah,
shooting
we have nukes
at
too.
'em.
It's not like they're the
We're
only
gonna
ones
shoot
with
'em.
nukes. So
German, I mean, come on. I mean,
it
Germany
would be
don't have
terrible.
them.
Hopefully, it never gets there.
No, but let's just be honest. That ain't gonna. We're still about to beat that ass.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
So, another thing that's a terrible news, right, that we got to talk about here is the
Gotta talk
Brooklyn
about it.
subway shooting, because, I mean, that's pretty
Well,
wild. I mean, what do you think, bro? Go ahead.
There is a good twist to this story, because they caught the guy today.
Yeah.
What is his name? Frank R. James, 62, prime suspect, is in custody, so that's good news. Also good news, out of the 10 people that he shot, none of them were lethally, nobody passed away, so that's good. And 19 others were taken away for other entries, shrapnel, maybe they fell and hit their head, or maybe they got skimmed, but not shot. 10 of them were shot. So I mean,
That's a
wild story.
That's
He
62.
came in
What? That's
62 years old. He
Why
came
at
in with
62? Is this what you
smoke
wanna do?
grenades, a smoke, a pro mask, a protective mask from the smoke grenades, and the Glock 9mm, and just started firing off. I think he fired off 33 rounds. They said 30 some, 30 to 40 rounds. Say,
Wow.
very wild story at 62.
Yeah,
Wild.
I mean,
I
I guess really the good thing though about it is no one died.
Yep.
There was, injuries. I think they said up to 29 people got injured.
And that
I
number
think
could
you just said,
fluctuate. It
10
could
to
fluctuate
13
once.
people got shot.
Yeah.
So maybe injury is shrapnel, or someone tripped over you, or kicked you, or you sprained an ankle, maybe even while you were trying to run away from this, because
Right.
obviously that had to have been just a horrific scene to
Oh,
be a part of. Like,
absolutely.
you don't want to be concealed. I mean, I guess smoke. If I'm concealed,
Well,
I'd rather be concealed than wide open with
true
someone
that.
pointing a gun at me. So he kind of did everybody on the subway a favor by popping the smoke. And it doesn't seem he wasn't a good shot because he didn't kill anybody. He had a pro mask. You in the military,
It's
did a
harder
lot
to
of
shoot
work
with
in
a
a
pro
pro
mask.
mask, and
It's
shooting.
harder
in the
to shoot
thing
with
is-
them.
If he didn't train shooting in the pro mask, it's very likely
Yeah.
that he didn't know what he was doing.
I would
Right.
highly say that that's true.
And
'cause-
all of these things are good things, right? So the 62-year-old somewhat thought about it, but didn't think, and maybe he wasn't trying to kill anybody. But I don't know. What's your
Why would
motive?
you
Why do you
do
go
that?
into a subway and start popping caps, 33 plus rounds from a 9mm if you're not trying to kill anybody? But thankfully, nobody was hurt.
Thankfully nobody's hurt, like you were saying, and his aim was terrible, and I mean
Probably
there
had
might have been some
cataracts.
divine intervention in there.
He had
People were
glaucoma.
hiding in the smoke. I mean, but you got to think from being in that situation.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're just taking your daily subway ride and smoke starts coming out of nowhere,
Right.
and you're like, what is going on? And then all of a sudden you start hearing gunfire and
Yeah.
tings around you and people screaming. Like, that would be a crazy situation. So like you said, thankfully no one was hurt. Thankfully the New York Police Department and everybody that was helping find him did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Found him a day after, not even very quickly
Yeah, not
after.
quick, pretty quick.
And so that's so hats off to them. Hats off to all the police officers and everybody that was working on that case to arrest him so quickly, because that's pretty great.
And we were talking about this earlier. Something like this probably isn't going down in a place like Texas or even a place like Ohio,
I mean,
where you have other pedestrians and people on the train or whatever it is, subway, that have a gun. I saw a
Yeah.
video of a Texas shooting that happened. I think it was a church, and this was maybe a year or two ago. But
Yep.
the guy shoots, and then a couple Texans pull their gun out and kill him in the church, and they minimize the damage.
yeah,
Which I think is important, right? You have a big city like in Brooklyn and New York and even Chicago, you have these gun laws that really stop good people from carrying weapons.
and
And
protecting
it's
themselves.
clear that,
Right.
people like this they don't care about the law. They're going to get the gun. They're going to find it one way or another. And then all you do is leave pedestrians and law-abiding citizens of Brooklyn, of New York, and of, whatever place this is,
Right.
with no gun against somebody who has a gun.
Yeah, and yeah, do you really think the people that are going to do this, do you think that Robert James at 62 was going to do this, but he was like, oh shit, wait a minute, I'm in New York,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
gun
the-
laws.
The Brooklyn gun laws really stopped me.
Wait
from
a
doing
minute,
this.
the Brooklyn gun laws don't allow me to carry this out in
Oh,
this state,
goodness.
so let me drive to another state and do it. Well, no, honestly, that kind of invites it, because he's kind of like, well, I don't necessarily want to go to Texas and do this, or Ohio, or
Yeah.
wherever has guns, because I might actually get shot. Let me go somewhere where somebody
pretty
might pull a
safe.
knife on
Or I can
me
do
or
this
something.
safely.
Yeah, I mean,
Where I can
And-
commit crime and try to murder people safely.
and I'm not for violence and guns and all. I am for the freedom of weapons. Yeah, I am for that.
Yeah, and you're for protecting yourself,
Protecting
right?
yourself. I'm for protecting your family. So, obviously that. I mean, I
Yeah.
was in the military, so I believe in that. But I'm not going to go out here and just be promoting guns and say everybody should carry a gun. Because
Well,
if you're
yeah.
not mentally fit, if you don't know how to use a gun, if you haven't been trained on a gun, if you don't know how to take the magazine out of a gun or
well, sure, I can agree
look
with
down,
that.
clear the weapon, I mean, you shouldn't have a weapon.
This is
So-
America, so maybe, I mean,
Well,
We
you
should
better
get-
learn first.
I'm just
you better
saying,
get
you
your class,
definitely
do
should
your
get-
classes, get with the people that know,
yeah,
because
get trained, but
everybody in America, a lot of people know how to use a weapon. So I mean, somebody can show you. Because don't be getting a weapon if you don't know how to use it.
And in my eyes, things like this hopefully make people want to bring guns to Brooklyn more than they want to keep them away, I guess. Maybe they don't. I don't know. I'm not a New Yorker.
I want the
I'm
same
Ohioan,
weapon laws across the U. I don't understand. I understand the whole federal state thing, but I don't know. On some things like something like that, I feel like it almost has to be like a federal wide. Like,
right.
I shouldn't be able to carry my gun in one state and not in the other state. Like, if I have my weapon, since it's in the Constitution, I should be able to do that across every state line.
Yeah. I guess it's really because we're a bunch of states. The state has a lot of power.
They have a lot, and I feel that
a lot of power.
I do get that, because if they didn't have a lot of power, then when that whole DeWine thing happened, the state wouldn't have been able to fight back against all those ridiculous mandates. But that's a whole nother story.
Right. Yeah, that's a whole nother ballgame.
So I'm glad that states have the power, but some things I think should be federally across the board. I don't know.
And more exciting news.
Yeah.
Derek Carr.
Lighter news. Absolutely.
Right, lighter news, yeah. Probably more exciting, too. It's not exciting to hear people get shot in a subway or about the Russian-Ukraine war. It's more cringy and like, let's hopefully this gets over with. But Derek Carr here with the Las Vegas Raiders gets a 3-year, $121.5 million contract extension.
They said, yo,
getting
Derek,
paid.
Secure that bag, Derek.
Hey, Derek, catch his bag, boy.
Get it. He
So
got
now-
it.
Yeah, he got the
He
bag.
got the bag.
And he's now, I think that makes him the 5th highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
And that's what's up, though. That's what's up, because honestly, if you really think about the quarterbacks in the NFL right now, he is up there on the top. I mean, last year he had 4,800 yards. I mean, when you're in the 4,000 yards as a quarterback, you're very good.
Yeah.
He had 23 touchdowns, only 14 interceptions, and he had a 94 quarterback rating. And so, I mean, that's high. That's a high quarterback rating to have.
Yeah, that's beefy.
And he took the Raiders to their first playoff berth in 5 years since they had a drought. I mean, and you're not going to be able to really go out and get Tom Brady on the Raiders or get, Burrow on the Raiders or get, Allen on the Raiders or any of these other quarterbacks that are up and coming, because Buffalo's not letting go of Allen. Cincinnati's not letting go of Burrow.
Yeah.
And, Rodgers, he's staying in Green Bay. I mean, he's staying in Green Bay, right? He already signed the contract?
I'm not. He's probably. I don't know.
He's gonna stay.
He's probably staying in Green Bay. I mean,
but you ain't getting these people.
I thought it would have been interesting to see Aaron Rodgers come to Cleveland.
That would have been cool.
Which would have been cool.
But
we got Deshaun Watson.
I love.
So that's exciting. I'm excited about Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Actually, people were asking me about
Aaron Rodgers. He's never got it done. He doesn't. He folds a lot. I think he has one ring, so I guess he did get it done technically. But I just feel like he should have more rings by now. That's all I feel like. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well,
it's very hard to get an NFL ring.
It's hard to say.
Very hard.
It's very hard to say.
And here I am. I don't play football, so
it's also hard to say because it's kind of like we're living right now in the era of the GOAT. So like.
I mean,
in any other era, Aaron Rodgers would probably have 2 or 3 rings.
That's probably true.
But, I mean, you had to go against Tom Brady a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of the times Tom Brady took that. Peyton Manning would have more rings too if he was in a different era. Yeah. But I mean, they have played against the best. So at least if you are going to have less rings than you should, at least the person you lost them to was.
Yeah.
Sir Thomas LeGoat Brady.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a fair point. And I mean, some people were saying out in the internet world and out in the sports world in general that they're overpaying Derek Carr, that he's not worth it.
Oh my, I don't know.
That they maybe should have. I don't know. But this is my thing. Like, I don't know that you're upgrading from him. Like you were saying.
Yeah, who are you going to get?
About it earlier. I don't know. How do you upgrade? The players that are better than him aren't going to be released from their teams or even thought about being traded, probably.
Right. Unless you throw some crazy trade out there.
And teams are not likely to give up their franchise superstar quarterback, right? So, I mean, to me, Derek Carr, he had 4,800 yards last year. He had 23 touchdowns, only 14 interceptions.
Right.
I think if you give him the bag and you build around him, you bring in some offensive weapons so that he can score more touchdowns, then I think you have a solid team. You know, people are not going to be sleeping on the Raiders. So, you know, I think it's a solid move.
They were
he's
solid
top 5
last year.
quarterback last year. He's very good, and I don't know how you upgrade from Derek Carr by moving him. I just don't see how you do it.
Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna go to upgrade from Derek Carr if it isn't, like I said,
Right.
those top couple teams?
We'll trade you Baker Mayfield for Derek Carr in Cleveland.
Well, I don't know. Deshaun Watson might be better than Derek Carr though.
I guess we'll see.
When he was playing, he was
playing
in
a
the
while.
Yeah, true. But
So, and
he
you know
has
how
the
that
star-
goes.
he's
It's
got the
tough
star
to
power.
come back.
he's
and
got
really
the running
blow it up.
ability. He's got the passing ability.
I agree.
He's got the height. I
Yeah.
mean, Deshaun Watson is.
I'm right there
great
with you. I'm
quarterback.
excited for Deshaun. I think that move alone was very equivalent, and we've
Love it.
talked about it on the show. The Browns needed to do the Rams, the Goff Matthew Stafford
go
edition,
after,
Lions Rams. We needed to do that, and I think that was our version of it, right? I mean, Matthew Stafford, in my eyes, is top 3 quarterback in the league. But we did what we needed to do. We got who we could have got.
We've always
it's a
loved
good
Stafford.
move. It's
We've
a good
always
move.
loved Stafford.
Yeah.
But no, but on the side of Derek Carr though, I'm happy for him. He got the bag. What is he making? 40 and a half million a year.
That's nice.
So good for you, Derek Carr. Raiders, I think that was a good decision.
I agree.
I think he is a great quarterback, to be honest. I think he's a very good quarterback.
Right.
And he's not even in his prime yet. I mean, I think he's still going up. I think he hasn't
He
hit
should
a
get
plateau
better.
yet.
I agree. I think next year,
So-
if they make the right moves and add some pieces around him, that I think he could even do better next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And who knows? The Raiders were pretty scary this year. If they tighten a couple things up and add a couple years under everyone's belt and keep the pieces they need to and upgrade where they need to, then they're going to be a scary team.
I agree. So what's going on with this XFL, Chris? They're bringing Bob Stoops, Hines Ward, and
Bringing
Rob
in the
Woodson
heat. They're bringing the heat
as head coaches. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so the XFL, and this is my thing. I don't know. The XFL, they bring Bob Stoops, Hines Ward, Rod Woodson. I think Wade Phillips and maybe somebody else is a head coach in the XFL.
Huh.
And they're really trying to take some viewership or market share from the NFL. I'm not sure it's going to work, though, because, like, this is like, okay, let's go get Phil Jackson and let's throw him as a coach in the G League. Does everybody flock to the G League now and turn the G League on because Phil Jackson's the coach of the G League?
But I don't even know if it's like that because if you're coaching the G League, the basketball players are coming out because it's the same sport. XFL is not even the same sport.
That's true.
It's arena football, and I
It's
agree
got
with
different rules.
Different rules, different play style. It's very receiver heavy. So I mean, I guess like in today's age, the wide receiver is a very needed role. Like I mean, look at the Super Bowl Cooper Cup. They're not winning that without Cooper Cup, and it's a very pass heavy league. So the XF in that regard, it's gonna get a little bit exciting to see the more passing. But I like you said, I don't care what kind of coaches you bring in. I don't think that the XFL is going to transition just because. Yeah, I don't know. Arena football is just not. It's just.
And I don't want to be a hater because it would be nice to see the XFL succeed, but I just don't see how it happens. Like, people watch the NBA and the NFL and the MLB and all these different, the UFC and so on and so forth because they're the top tier athletes playing at their peak. And in the XFL, you have athletes that couldn't make it to the NFL, or just weren't good enough to play in the NFL.
It's like high-level college.
NFL athletes that are at the end of their end of their career, or maybe whatever, trying to come into the XFL just to make mess around and make some money. Right. Which I think is what it is. Maybe a money. I don't want to call it a money grab because I'm sure there's a lot of cool stuff that's going to happen with the XFL, but they tried it before, didn't really happen. like I said, you compare it to arena football. I'm thinking G League, and it doesn't matter what you do.
I don't know.
You're not getting a bunch of viewership to the G League or
Right.
to arena football or to
Right.
like it just doesn't happen, right? Like people
You're
don't
gonna
even
have
watch
to
college
grind.
baseball. Do people even watch college baseball? Like,
No, I don't.
and
think
that's
so.
pretty big, right? So I mean, like I just don't know
I don't.
how you steal the viewership when the NFL
Yeah.
players are top caliber. And
You-
is someone
just-
gonna wake up tomorrow and be like, I want to join the
Well,
XFL?
Right. And at that point, you just like I guess you just have to go after like almost like the college, like almost like a different demographic. Because like you're saying, if you're watching the NBA, NFL, whatever, you want to see the best of the best. That's why we tune into pro sports. Like,
Yeah.
that's why it's always better. I don't know why people say college sports are better than pro sports. I think they're tripping when they say that. I think they're maybe nostalgic, or maybe they're just
Yeah,
a hater.
I like pro sports better.
But like, if you watch a pro sports game and you watch a college game next to each other, the speeds, the plays, the athleticism, I mean, it's just night and day. You can
Right.
see it's the difference is ridiculous.
I mean, JJ Redick the other day was talking mess about college basketball, saying how they
Right.
haven't updated their sets, their strategies, their anything in 19 years. He's like, when I watch college basketball, they're running the same sets I ran and when I played basketball. This is
Right.
JJ Redick. And I don't know. I guess he balled in probably like the 2000s, maybe late
And he's
90s.
a hooper.
And he's a
smart.
baller. And he's sitting
Very
there
intelligent.
just trolling college and saying how it's not that fun to watch and how this and that because it's just the same sets. I mean, in the NBA, they create space. I mean, there's a lot that goes into the game. Plus the
Didn't
the
he
rules.
say that because somebody was saying that if NBA players played defense like college players, that
the scores would be lower.
the scores would be lower, and then
Yeah.
he was arguing the case that, well, actually they kind of wouldn't be because of what you're saying. Like,
Right.
when you get on the pro level, you can't
Right.
guard. You can't use a fucking box 3 to guard. You can't guard them one-on-one. Like,
right.
you can't. It just doesn't work. Like, it's just not the same. Like,
Right.
everybody on the floor can score on you.
Right. And that's
in
the
college, like maybe 2 of them can score on you, if that.
thing. Right. And that's why I don't know. Even March Madness
Yeah.
was, went on and some good basketball and
Good
stuff.
they're great basketball.
But it's nothing like the NBA playoffs or even the NBA play-in tourney.
Right.
I mean, you just, in my opinion, you see better basketball, you see better
yeah.
athletes, and you see people that
So
are.
fun.
I don't know. It's just I see just as much heart in NBA players, especially when you get to the playoffs. And if you're a player that doesn't have that much heart, you're typically not going anywhere in the
Yeah.
playoffs, right? So we
Right.
don't see you, but for the regular season. So I mean, that's
Right.
better than watching Division II
So,
basketball.
People
college.
aren't going to flock to the XFL. They want to watch the pros.
Yeah.
They want to watch the pros. And
So I
actually,
think-
that's a perfect segue into our next segment, which is the NBA play-in tournament.
There we go.
Which last night started it off, right? The Cavs
Started
played
it off.
against Brooklyn Nets. Unfortunately, we lost,
Yeah.
but it was a hard-fought game. I watched the entire thing. We brought it back within like 6 or 8 at some point. Kevin Durant was just he just kept making like kind of dagger shots, like, and he was calling for the ball. When you have Kevin Durant calling,
And don't
I mean,
forget
and
about
Kyrie
my boy
was
Kyrie
hooping.
because Kyrie was
He was
high
like
efficiency.
98% from the field. Like,
high
what?
efficiency. The boy,
What?
he didn't miss. I think he had 35
He
points.
missed like one shot.
I think. Let
2
me look at the
shots,
box
maybe.
score here because I need to get this right.
He
Because it
missed
was
like 1 or
impressive.
2 shots.
115 to 108 was the final there.
Yeah.
Kyrie, who's an ex-Cav, maybe he wanted to put it to him a little. 34 points, 12 of 15
So
shooting.
he missed 3 shots.
Missed 3 shots, 3 of 6. He missed the 3 shots he missed were threes. And
I
then he
mean,
also had 12 assists for
but
the double-double.
You think about this though. You got Kevin Durant hitting these dagger shots. You got Kyrie Irving going 95%
yeah.
and
That's
scoring
hard
30
to beat.
what was 30 some points?
That's hard to beat.
And the Cavs still only lost by what was it? 7?
115 to 108. So what is that like?
7 points.
And I
So
think
that's and we don't have Jared Allen.
yeah, I think the Cavs that we're missing one
we're
piece.
so
We're missing
close.
that superstar. I think that really can just
We're
take
so
over
close.
that game at the end, like a Kyrie or a KD. I personally think that comes back to Sexton. I feel like
Sexton.
Sexton is kind of that player, but he's injured right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully we keep Sexton on our roster next year. I'm not sure.
Oh my
Hopefully
gosh,
there's no
if
plans to
we
deal
get
him or
rid
anything like
of
that.
Sexton,
Hopefully we keep him, add him to the
Whew.
roster. And I think, obviously you want to push for this year. I don't see it. To be honest, I don't, as much as I'd love to see the Cavs win a championship, I don't think it's happening this season.
But they can make it out of this play-in tournament, though.
Yeah, I think we can make it out of the play-in tournament. It's going to be
play?
hard, though. I
Who do
mean,
we
we're going to
play?
be playing the winners of the Hawks and the Hornets. So Atlanta and Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
And who do you think's winning?
Well, so I think the world is going to go with Atlanta because there's a guy called Trae Young on Atlanta.
Ice Trae?
Ice Trae, Cube Trae, Trae Young. He's nasty. But I have to go with Charlotte. I got to go with Charlotte. LaMelo Ball, I think he's going to come out and I don't know. I'm a LaMelo Ball fan.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to call Charlotte be upsetting Atlanta. That's what I'm calling.
Yeah. And I figured you were going to do
You
that
knew I
because
was
you always
calling
let your emotions get in there, and that's why
You knew
you
I was
always
calling it.
make the wrong decisions. Because I think that
You
I don't
heard
see
what
him
I
being
you
Ice
hold on.
Trae. I mean,
You
come
heard
on,
what I
Ice
prefaced
Trae?
it with. They have a guy named fucking Trae Young on their team that can literally score
Ice
70
Trae's
points.
about to give my man the
So-
ducats, and LaMelo's not there yet. And he's a very pass
But
heavy guard.
Bridges is
where
a
if you're
baller
if,
too.
but if
Baller.
you're pass heavy, then the people you pass to have to be on high calibers, right? It's
Right.
like look at Phoenix. If Chris Paul passes to Devin Booker can put 50 on you. So when he passes, you got to listen. Ayton, he's got there in Phoenix too, and they got a great roster in Phoenix, and that's why they were the best team in the league in terms of regular season and record.
They can score in Charlotte.
And you don't have that in Charlotte.
They
You don't got
some,
that
they
same
got
roster.
some hoop, but you don't got a
Who you
crazy,
got on there scoring 50?
Bridges has been putting up 30 some all
Or 40
year.
even.
20, 30.
20, 30 is
And-
the 40's another level.
And Atlanta's
once
roster
you can
is
score
what?
40, you're
outside
on
of
another
Trae
level.
Young. Outside of Trae Young,
Trae Young can score 60.
mean-
He's one of them players that could probably put 60 on you.
I don't disagree.
He might have a
But
60-point
Is
game.
everybody else going to outplay the side players? That's the question.
Let me see
I'm
if he has
going
a
with-
60-point game.
I'm going with Charlotte on that one. So across the board, though,
No, he has no 60.
Clippers played. Who did the Clippers play yesterday? Minnesota, correct? And Minnesota beat them.
Yeah, the T-Wolves.
So that means the Clippers are going to play the winners of.
And
Go
Trey's got two 50-point games. I'll just throw that out there.
Which is
Sick.
nobody's arguing that Trae Young is not one of the best
right, so-
players in the league.
But they'll play that. You said the Clippers. So the Minnesota took the 7th or 8th seed or wherever they went. 7th seed
Seven.
actually. They took the 7th seed
Yeah.
as well. They should have. I would have had Minnesota beating the Clippers, especially a Kawhi-less Clippers.
Absolutely.
And Cat played terrible. I don't think he made a shot.
Who?
Karl Anthony Towns.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he made
100%.
a shot. Maybe 1 point. I think he was like 1 for 11 or something like that. He played terrible, and they still won. And you
Whoa.
don't typically see that. And it's because you big men, Cat, get closer to the basket. Why are you
Right.
shooting so many threes? Like, I get that you won the 3-point competition,
Do a couple of them.
but man, you have to get closer to the basket for those high percentage shots.
Agreed.
I mean, if you look at Giannis, how he won a championship, it wasn't because he was shooting threes. It's because he was banging you under the basket and just
Wow.
wearing down your defense, wearing down your team. And you can do that, Cat. So get in there, shoot the threes randomly, but man,
Another
you
good
gotta
point on
start
that one,
shooting
though.
closer to the basket.
Another good point on that one. Embiid.
Embiid does the same
Giannis.
shit sometimes.
They are the top leaders in scoring right now,
Yeah.
and it's like you're saying, not because they're shooting the Steph Curry three
And Embiid will shoot a three every now and again.
then, but they are
he's
scoring.
very
in
heavy under the
paint.
basket.
And
right.
Giannis is heavy in the paint. They are dunking it on you. They are driving
Right.
it on you. They are Euro stepping it on you.
Playing defense.
They are getting to the free throw line because they are always in the hole.
right.
That's how you should be playing if you're a big man. And I think Shaq would be agreeing because I always see Shaq calling people out.
Shaq
Like,
always says that to big men in the
y'all
league.
big men, y'all need to start banging in the paint.
Because how many
Like,
rings Shaq got? What, 3 or 4?
What's
Three? Shaq's got what?
Oh.
3 rings, I think maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure to be honest, but yeah, something like that.
So, I mean,
And he's one of the best ever, if not the
Yeah.
best ever. He's one of the best.
Hey, Jay, how many rings
Is he the
Shaq
best?
got?
He's the best center ever. He's got to be. I don't know. He's the best center in my opinion ever. So I'll just throw that out there. Shaq is the best big man to ever do it. Tim Duncan is the best power forward to ever do
Shaq's
it.
got 4 rings for Shaq. So, I mean, if you want, and to me, you're playing for the ring. There's not an NBA player not playing for the ring. There's not an NFL, MLB player not playing for the ring. You're playing for that hardware at the end of the season to be the champion. Because once you get to that level, there's nothing else to do than to reach the pinnacle and try to become a champion, right? So, I mean, that's what it is.
So Minnesota beats Clippers without Kawhi.
Yeah.
So the Clippers are playing tonight.
The Clippers
the Spurs
will
play
the Pelicans. So the Spurs play the Pelicans in the play-in tourney.
Yep.
The winner is then going to play
the
Clippers for the 8th seed,
which is going to be the Spurs.
Okay, and
the
that's
Spurs,
and we're on
my boy Greg Popovich
so we'll
in
see.
the playoffs.
So we'll see.
He's going to
reach
reach into his little bag of tricks, and the Spurs are going to get an upset.
And this is interesting because now
I know you're picking
both
Pelicans.
play-in tourney. You took the 10s. I'm taking the 9s.
Taking the 10s.
And it's because the Spurs, I don't see anyone on their roster that's going to take
nice.
that. DeJounte Murray's nice. Don't disagree with that. But I think C.J. McCollum for the Pelicans, and that's who I'm really riding here. C.J. McCollum is going to go out and show out. And I can't believe when Portland got rid of C.J., I couldn't believe it. Because C.J. is, in my opinion, he's Chris Middleton for Giannis. He was that same player, a 20-plus point scorer every night, can put over 30 on you, high efficiency, and can score by himself. He doesn't need you to set up the play for him. And I'm going to be very interested to see how CJ does because I think that's who this game rides on.
Yeah,
and I think he steps up to the occasion. I'd love to see CJ take the Pelicans and take them to that first round of the playoffs. And look, Portland's not even in the playoffs right now, and they traded him away. And they weren't even in the play-in.
The question is, do you
Dame didn't even make the play-in yet. He's a top 75 player, and Kyrie's not top 75 player.
Their team is
that's terrible.
Their team is not there anymore. I don't know why. That was terrible. I don't know why they got rid of C.J. McCollum. But I
got
the Spurs.
So
do you
wins?
Actually think that McCollum is going to do more than Popovich though? I mean, because Popovich.
Pop is a coach.
When the Spurs get into the playoffs, and I know this was
he still needs that player.
They have good players.
But he doesn't have that player.
I mean, you're saying C.J. McCollum is that player?
I mean, when he's playing the Spurs, I'm not saying he's going to go out there and beat the Suns. They're going to take a first-round exit once they make it there, but I'm just saying.
Spurs, don't sleep on them.
And then they got to play the Clippers. Do they beat the Clippers?
Who? The Spurs?
The winner of do the Spurs beat the Clippers? Do you think?
The Spurs are going to win, so...
Well, no, I get that, but if the Spurs win, they go play the Clippers for the 8th seed. Do they beat the Clips?
Now, that's going to be tough. Honestly, because at that point, like you're saying, the Clippers do have Paul George, and he is a star. He's very good. So, do I think that they're gonna beat the Clippers? I don't know. Honestly, probably not.
So you're saying Clips take the 8th seed over that, and I think you're right there. I think the Pelicans are probably going to lose to the Clippers as well. But I think the Pelicans have a better chance of beating the Clippers than the Spurs do also. And you might see a Pelicans upset. You know what? Actually, you know what? You know what? I'm calling this. Pelicans upset over the Clippers because Paul George doesn't play in the playoffs. He's going to crumble under pressure to C.J. McCollum, and C.J. is going to take the Pelicans into the first round over the Clippers.
When my man DeJounte Murray and Popovich out here smacking?
Well, then I'll be wrong. I'll be wrong.
What happened about that?
And that'll be history.
So, NBA playoffs. The games are going on tonight.
Yeah. So we got the games tonight. It's going to be New Orleans Pelicans versus San Antonio Spurs, and you got the Atlanta Hawks versus the Charlotte Hornets. The winner of that then plays Cleveland. Do you see? So you had Charlotte. Do you see
Charlotte.
Cleveland or Charlotte? Who you got taking the 8th seed?
Cleveland.
You got Cleveland taking the 8th
Yep.
seed. I got Atlanta going into there, and
It's all because of Trae Young, and I know. I get it. They got Trae Young. He's nasty.
I'm gonna go. This is an emotional pick here. Because if I go Cleveland, it's probably the wrong answer, to be completely honest with you. I'm going to go Cleveland, though. I don't know how they beat Ice Trae in the playoffs.
But
I'm going
mean?
Cleveland. You see my Cleveland jersey?
Our Cleveland team
on our defense.
got deep.
And JB Bickerstaff is a beast. And Garland's a beast, too. Sometimes he's inefficient,
will score. Garland will get in the paint. My man, Markkanen will shoot the threes. He will play defense. He will get blocks. They play with heart. They play with intensity.
Well, but see, this is the problem.
Right
No,
now,
I agree.
don't be sleeping on
I
Cleveland.
agree. And Garland will
you
score.
see MGK.
Garland will score. No, you see the jersey I'm wearing. I just like to be honest. You see the jersey I'm wearing. I want Cleveland to win. But this is the problem is when Garland did score 34 last night against the Nets.
Yeah.
But he did it on 24 shots.
Well,
where Kyrie does it on 15 shots.
We're not comparing Garland to Kyrie. He shot 98% yesterday.
I'm just saying sometimes Garland is inefficient. Sometimes Garland is inefficient, and Trae Young is pretty efficient.
Everybody's inefficient when you're comparing them to Kyrie.
I'm with you.
So
I'm with you.
That's fine.
You heard it here first.
Cavs are taking that, baby.
I'm with you, though, on that one. Cavs are going to take the 8th seed from the Hawks. You heard it here first that no one's more efficient than Kyrie. We got that.
He's pretty efficient. He's pretty efficient.
And
you're trying to compare people to the most efficient
No,
player.
I'm saying
like,
that.
Okay, well, duh.
Well, Trae Young is pretty efficient.
He's not as efficient as Kyrie, but I mean, he still had 34 points, and he was still pretty efficient.
Well, my point is does Garland outplay Trae?
He doesn't have to outplay Trae
to beat him. He does.
He doesn't. We have to somewhat contain Trae and everyone else. Markkanen and Mobley and Love. They have to all get in double digits. They all have to see 10,
can too.
12,
they
15.
Can. Hopefully, K Love
one of them gets in 20 points.
9 3-pointers in a night.
If K Love puts up 20 points, Cavs win.
Yeah, what did he put up last night?
I'm telling you. So
let's see what K Love did.
You're not going to stop the
K Love 14. Yeah. He only shot 4 threes. So K Love, Kevin,
shoot the ball.
We need more threes put up from you. I need 9 threes from you individually, Kevin. Shoot more against the Hawks. Let's send Ice Trae home. Let's bring the Cavs into the first round of the playoffs.
Let's get it.
And then we would be playing Miami, who we might be able to
upset. Match up against Miami.
We could upset Miami. I think we're a decent matchup against Miami. Cleveland into the second round?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'd love to see that. I think it can happen. If I'm playing anybody in the East, I honestly think it's Miami that I want to play.
Hold on, though. Like I said, we kind of had a very unfair look in the play-in tournament because we played Brooklyn with their entire team. So that if they had their entire team all year, they wouldn't be the last seed.
Right.
And we only lost by 7.
That's a good point.
So
that's a very solid
Cavs are about to be doing it. But those are the predictions. I think we're running out of time here. So
I'm excited. Playing tonight. I mean, we got a great show here at the Chris and Ant Show. Go follow us on YouTube, or go subscribe rather on YouTube. Go like us on Facebook. And just come hang out with us. We're going to be talking about sports, business, news, all sorts of different things. So we appreciate you for being here. Make sure you drop us that sub, make that follow.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for coming. We'll see you next time. Like and follow.